Welcome to Ranking Every Commander with the Nitpicking Nerds.
We're going over the Crimson Vow and Crimson Vow Commander product legendaries and seeing how they stack up against every other commander in existence.
I'm your host, Joe Cherries.
I'm your host, Beezy, and that makes us the Nitpicking Nerds. You can check out our daily content every single freaking day because that's all we do is make commander videos. If you want to support us, the best way to do it is patreon.com. We love everyone who goes there because you will be helping us live our career and our dream.
Yes, it's the best way to support us. And some other ways to support us, TCG Player, affiliate link in the description below. You go there. It's literally how we buy our Magic cards. You can buy your Magic cards that way. And guess what? If you do, we get a kickback. And you spend literally $0 extra dollars. If you want to do that same exact thing, except you want to get Dragon Shield sleeves, well, there's also a Dragon Shield link for EU and US. Go there, buy the best sleeves in the multiverse, and guess what? You're supporting the nerds.
Yes, this is a little project we've been working on for like 3 years now. No big deal. Just ranking every commander that's ever existed. We got this full list of like 1,200 commanders, and now we're going to put in the Crimson Vow legendaries from the commanders and the regular set. So what we're doing is a scale of 50 total points can be awarded. There are 5 categories. The first one is power. How strong is the card? This is only 20% of the overall grade. This is not a power ranking. I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry. So that's one factor that can lead to what makes this a good commander. The next one is fun. How fun is it to play with? How fun is it to play against? We're going to be taking both those into account. Then we got to move over to the artwork because that is a huge factor, even if some people don't like it, of what makes this card interesting or exciting. Is it good? Is it bad? We'll let you know.
It is literally our opinion on art. So you're going to have to, even if you disagree wholeheartedly and you think an art's a 10, that even if you completely disagree with us, that's okay because art is incredibly subjective. So we're going to give our opinion and you can go to the comments and tell us that we stink. Also, factoring into this, coolness. This is how cool a card is. Lore plays a ton into this. But a card can be cool with 0 lore. There's one on this list that's going to get about a 7 or an 8 just based on how the card represents that character and all that. Coolness is about the character being represented. And the last thing we do is uniqueness. This is how unique it is in an applicable way. So it has to be good. It can't just be like, oh, this is unique. It's the only card that makes me lose the game forever. It's like, that certainly is unique, but it's bad.
Right, so it doesn't actually contribute to the power or the effectiveness of the card. So we're going to get started here with a complete stinker because we're going worst to best. This is old Rutstein.
Yes, he's at 1,072 above Greel and below Oris.
Yes, this is the 1,072nd best commander.
Ugh. 1 black-green for a legendary creature human peasant 1/4. Whenever old Rutstein enters the battlefield or at the beginning of your upkeep, mill a card. If it's a land, you get a treasure. If it's a creature, you get a 1/1 insect. And if it is a non-creature, non-land, you get a blood token. For the power, it's just not there. This card just doesn't do anything. Yeah, you can mill. We just have a million better cards that mill, and this is doing it at the slowest rate possible, literally 1 a turn. For fun, because there's not really much to do here with it, and it's nothing special, it's not interesting. It's not going to be fun to play. Art, I want to mention this because it's going forward. We're going to be talking about art. This is about as bad as art is going to do from this set. It's a 5, nothing special. It's still pretty good, but this is nothing special. The art in the set is chef's kiss, though.
It's just average. Yeah, the character of old Rutstein doesn't really have much going on. He's basically an old guy who lives in the woods with some trinkets. That's all we have to go on, so guess what? That amounts to a 2, and for uniqueness, mill, treasure, land, like none of these keywords or like buzzwords are hitting. Blood is the only new thing, and it's really not that unique of a thing, especially when you're not making them on a large scale. So poop grade for old Rutstein. Let's move to Rhodageist Avenger. She is number 988 between Nostro and Mila, and she's 3 and a white for a 3/3 vigilance. She partners with Timmon, Youthful Geist. And whenever a creature an opponent controls becomes tapped, if it isn't being declared as an attacker, put a +1/+1 counter on Rhoda. Now, with these partner commanders and partner with and friends forever, we got to mention how we grade these. It's a little different. We separate them all because they can be played in any combination of by themselves, the other one by themselves, or together. And we just +1 all of the grades for power. So she's going to get a 2 because her original card is a 1, and it doesn't do almost anything. The only thing it does is let you play Tiny Timmon.
Yes, Tiny Timmon will easily be buffing this girl up, but that's not very good. It's not very strong. Art, she looks pretty good. I really do like how small. I love the scale because Tiny Timmon doesn't show you how small he is.
No.
This shows you how tiny he is. It's like his whole body is the size of her head.
Yeah, he's like laying on her shoulder or something. And she avenged, assuming his death, his little tiny death. I don't know if Scrooge killed him or something. But as far as uniqueness goes, this is the most white card. I'm not surprised at all. I'm not seeing any new sparks of intrigue. So let's move on.
2, Dorothea, Vengeful Victim, above Kalemne and below Gerard Capuchin at 962. White and a blue for legendary creature, Spirit, 4/4, flying. When it attacks or blocks, sacrifice it at the end of combat. Disturb for 1 white-blue. Disturb means that you can cast it from your graveyard for this cost and it comes back transformed. As Dorothea's Retribution, an aura enchantment, enchant creature. Enchanted creature has, whenever this creature attacks, you get a 4/4, tapped and attacking, and you sacrifice it at the end of combat. Then, if the Retribution will go to the graveyard, it is instead exiled. If it wasn't for the backside, this card would be a 0 for power, as it is pretty much, just a 4/4 with flying. This card is just doesn't get there in the power level department, and because it doesn't get there in the power level department, there's almost nothing to do with it. So you can't really have fun with a card that has nothing to offer.
Doesn't let you play much extra magic. That's kind of what fun amounts to, is how much magic do I get to play? How many decisions do I get to make? What is there tension? Is there anything? Like, do my opponents get to interact? It's just nothing. There's nothing here, so it's only a 2. The artwork is actually great. I love the black and white flip version where she's just like this crazy monster ghost, and it's not at all like the front side. Her lore is she's killed by the Voldarans and she doesn't like them. That's cool. Vengeful Geist can only get you so far, though. We're on Innistrad.
Yeah, and just in case you're wondering, in the middle right here is always going to be the best art, the one we like the most, just so you can tell what art we are talking about. We always grade based on the best art.
Yes, we don't like factor them together or anything. So the next one, we got Timmon. It's Youthful Geist. He's over at 928, above Averna the Chaos Bloom and below Munda, Ambush Leader. 4 and a blue for a 3/4. He partners with Rhoda, unfortunately for him. He's got flying. At the beginning of each combat, tap up to 1 target creature. That does not amount to much. You get to ice down their best attacker, but it doesn't stay tapped. It just ends up being a 2, just like his friend Rhoda. This deck and this card by itself don't let you do much. I think these numbers, if we could go into the decimals, Timmon would be like a 2.4 for each of power and fun. And so he would be above Rhoda, but they're just both 2s.
Yeah, the art's pretty cool. It's a tiny little ghost, and like the chains, everything looks great on this card, so that's good. Lore, he's a tiny ghost. This is the power of like a card representing something. It's just a tiny little ghost. The fact that he's small is literally the only thing that makes him cool. And he got a 5 because that is pretty dang cool. Imagine being a tiny ghost.
Don't know if he's actually based on Tiny Tim, but one thing you will know with a lot of legends in this set, they are all extremely similar in name to just regular human names, which takes a lot of the oomph out of it. Like, oh, Dorothea, that's just a name. It's also close to Dorothy, which is also a name. Timmon, you mean Tim?
Yeah, exactly. And the one thing I want to say about Tiny Tim before we move on, why couldn't he just be like a 1-mana 1/1 or a 2-mana 2/1? That would have made him so much better and playable.
Instead he's a 0-1.
Why is he a 5-mana 3/4? And he's a tiny ghost. Why is he a 3/4?
Doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense at all. Moving on. It is Odrick, Blood Cursed. Right above Sliver Legion and below Kelith. 1 red-white for a legendary creature, Vampire Soldier, 3/3. When he enters the battlefield, create X blood tokens, where X is the number of abilities from among Flying, First Strike, Double Strike, Death Touch, Haste, Hexproof, Indestructible Lifelink, Menace, Reach, Trample, and Vigilance, found among creatures you control. This card is butts. It's so butts. It's so butts. Beezy was fighting for it to be a 0. That's how bad this card is. But technically it does something. It is not just a vanilla creature, but it's bad. It's real bad.
Now, I'm not saying this card needed to be good because it's a character people were hyped about and the Mark Rosewater was excited to share. It just needed to do anything. This ability is the closest rare to a literal vanilla in the entire set. Really, really unfortunate that it had to be such a cool character. He's going to get points for his amazing artwork and his really cool lore where he gets to like he gets bitten by Henrika and then like explodes vampires because his blood is so awesome. That's great, but just the power of this card is such a complete miss. All it needed to say really was on the second line that says, whenever you discard a card, bleh. And then I'd be like, okay, you know what? I get what they're doing, but this design falls literally flat to the maximum.
It's just super sad. The art is amazing. His alternate art is chef's kiss, so good. And we had him a 6 for coolness for his other cards. He's now a vampire and he's avenging humans still. He's still fighting for humans. Even
Blade.
Though he's a vampire, he is Blade. He is basically Blade, which is really, really cool. But that being said, he's the least unique thing that's ever existed. Let's move on to...
Apparently, I'm reading all the partners. It's Laureen, the Diversion. You mean Laura? 2 in a red for a 3/3 first strike. She partners with Camber. You mean Amber? The Plunderer. And she has 2 sacrifice an artifact or creature, goad target creature. She also has first strike. Yeah, there's a little bit more here. There's some oomph. I can build around this, which leads to a higher fun. I want to be able to sacrifice artifacts and creatures and get this going, force people to attack, have some triggers that way. So the power, it's there. She's a 3, bump to a 4 because of partner with Camber. And I think this is a solid little partner.
Yeah, I think it's going to be dang fun to play, taking the goad and getting everyone else to attack each other. That's really awesome. Art is whatever. Also, where do you get pink hair dye on Innistrad? Who's selling that? Who's made this? I know that there's magic everywhere, but she's the only person with pink hair.
It's been 6 years of going back and forth to Innistrad. 20 million years of this, and this is it? This is the only one?
I don't know why she would have pink hair. Maybe a planeswalker who went to a certain plane. Innistrad does not seem like the plane that has pink hair.
Or the ability to dye hair.
And this is where I, what's it called? The something I die on.
The hill?
This is the hill I die on. Pink hair in Innistrad is too much. This is the line. I can't take it anymore. I'm done. We're moving on to Angie, Maid of Dishonor. She comes in at 751, above Tuya Bearclaw, and below Dustin. 2 black-red legendary creature, vampire. 4/5. Whenever Angie, Maid of Dishonor, and or one or more other vampires enters the battlefield under your control, create a blood token. This ability triggers only once each turn. Pay 2, sacrifice another creature or blood token. Each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. I will be complaining about this forever until I die. Can we go back to the old system? They all lose 2 and you gain the amount lost that way. I will complain about it until they fix it. This card's not very powerful. You can only get 1 per turn, and blood's not worth very much. Granted, she is actually paying off blood, unlike Odrick, so she gets a 2 for power. Still, there's just nothing to do here. This makes me think, why am I not playing Edgar? I get white and a better ways to use my vampires? I don't know.
Yeah, the once per turn is rough. You have to make instant speed vampires. Not an easy feat, and you don't even get white to do that. Mm-hmm. The power doesn't lead to much fun, and the artwork, fantastic. I didn't know Anya, which is her actual name, although Angie and Anya, both real names, to continue our trend. The art's good. The art's really, really, really good. And the character doesn't actually do much. She's just old.
Yeah.
I thought she would do more.
Yes. Unfortunately, no lore for this one. We'll move on again, because this character is not worth talking about, to Timothar, Baron of Bats.
Timothar, above Hogak, below Mishra, sitting at number 709. 4 black for a 4/4 vampire noble with ward, discard a card. Whenever another non-token vampire you control dies, you can pay 1 and exile it. Then you make a 1/1 bat, and then when that bat hits, you sacrifice the bat and bring the exiled creature to the battlefield tapped. Really cool design. I like where this is going. The power, not really there. You're playing a 6-mana 4/4 that has to have creatures die. Then you make a bat. Then bat hits, and then you get the creature back. So with a lot of hoops to jump through. But I think this actually is pretty fun.
Yeah, I think this card is definitely fun, and I really like it. I like it that if the board gets wiped, you get a bunch of bats, and you're just trying to get in the red zone with those bats, get back your vampires. It's definitely a cool and fun design. Unfortunately, it doesn't add up to much power, like you said. He's just a vampire sitting there doing whatever.
Vampires love chairs.
Vampires love.
Match made in heaven.
Love chairs. They're literally their favorite thing in the whole universe. Also, Angie was sitting on a couch, I think. Let me go back. Yeah, Angie is sitting on a couch.
A sofa, yeah.
A sofa.
Timothar doesn't really do anything. I don't know what his deal is, so he gets a 3 because he reincarnates vampires as bats, I guess.
Yeah, it's the story told by the card, because you really don't get anything else besides that. Yep, and again, we're just going to move on quickly because these cards aren't that interesting. And now this is Camber, the Plunderer, coming in at 669, above Anya, below Limvala, the Preserver.
Nice.
Looks like I finally got one of the partners. 3 and a black for a legendary creature, Vampire Rogue. 3/4, partners with Laureen, has lifelink. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, you gain 1 life and create a blood token. Strangely, on the original preview of this card, it was wrong. It said whenever a creature dies, it does this. So whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, that is the official wording. Wizards of the Coast came through and told us that. This isn't super powerful, but it's okay. She's plundering, getting stuff, you can kill a bunch of creatures. You can get a lot of blood quickly.
Yeah, and it's like a Sangromancer effect, except instead of the extra 2 life, you get a blood token. And if your deck can really utilize that and you have some kind of sub-theme, I think that might be better. You could go a ton of different ways. You can go Madness, you can go Artifacts Matter, you can go Blood specifically matters, you can go like trying to get individual life gain triggers of 1. I think this is a sweet design. Not the strongest, but there is things to do, so I do respect that. The art is medium, and the story told by the art is actually better than the art. I just like how cocky and like ridiculously arrogant this person is. I don't know if Camber is male or female. I know that Amber is a typically female name. They got a mirror and they're just like checking themselves out while like looting a corpse.
There's like a dead king in a chair.
Yeah, I got the hat on or the crown.
And they have put the hat on their head. They're sitting in the chair like on the body, on the dead body.
Leg up.
And checking themselves out. Really, really like just great.
Silly.
Great little story in that art.
Yeah, I know everything I need to know about Camber. I know that this card is actually pretty unique. It does enough things, checks a lot of new boxes, that this is going to be a cool one to build.
Yes.
Next up, we got Donald.
The
Herald of Wings. It's just Donald. Above Furia, Judge of Valor. Below Falthus, the Shadow Cat at 633. We're climbing up those ranks. He is 2 blue for a 3/3. Whenever you cast a non-legendary creature spell with flying, you may copy it, except the copy is a 1/1 spirit in addition to its other types. Do this only once each turn. This is a weird one, and I will say that another just regular human name coming up here. It's kind of like a Volo, except it sucks all the power toughness juice out of the creature, so you have to have cast value, like ETB dies creatures with flying. So we're kind of in like this, we're shoehorned into this like niche deck, but this is a really good effect.
Yeah, it is definitely a strong effect to have. It only works with flyers, so that's the reason it's a little lower, because obviously, your deck can only be as strong as flyers are, because those are the things you're going to be copying. Still very good. Art, he's a guy sitting with some birds. I don't know.
He seems pretty happy to be alive.
He certainly seems like he does like living. His uniqueness, well, this is an extremely unique card. There's Volo and there's this, and there's not really anything else. Then you add in the flying, you get a decently unique commander here. Like flying matters, non-tokens.
ETB kind of stuff going on. Actually, the word flicker is in the flavor text, so it kind of tells you what to do, even though you don't want to flicker the tokens, but you want to flicker the other creatures because they all have ETVs anyway. I will say Donal, Donal. Pretty popular name. There's at least 3 characters in Magic that have been named Donal, and I did not know that.
I didn't even know it was a name until this guy came out.
It's Donald.
Up next is Jacob Hawkins, Inspector. He comes in at 607 above Squee, Goblin Naboo, and below Krenko, Tin Street Kingpin. 1 in the blue for an 0/2 legendary creature, Human Advisor. Tap, draw a card, then exile a card from your hand face down. You may look at that card for as long as it remains exiled. You may pay 4 blue. If you do, transform Jacob Hawkins into Hawkins Insight, legendary enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of your library face down. You may look at it as long as it remains exiled. Once during each of your turns, you may play a land or cast a spell from among the cards exiled with this permanent without paying its mana cost. This card is okay, but the paying the 6 have to flip it just doesn't feel like it's going to happen that much. If you really start getting things under this, it just feels like people are going to kill it and it's never going to live. Maybe it's better than I think, because me and BZ kind of disagreed on this one. We have it at 3 for power currently. For fun, 5 for fun for you. No, nothing for your opponents. No, your opponents are not going to enjoy playing against this, because realistically, it's always going to cast Ulamog. It's always going to cast Kozlak.
Omniscience.
Emrakul. Omniscience. These cards that just win the game because that's the best way to play this deck.
Yeah, and I can't fault anyone for that, but it's just not going to be a ton of fun to play against. I think Jacob maybe a little bit stronger than a 3, but I don't mind sitting him there for now. The thing is, you get to kind of hide all the information, and it's a really low investment until you go and flip him. You could also play him on turn 5, hold up counterspell backup, and then guaranteed flip him to get whatever giant thing you get, because they can't stop you once you tap it and they're like, okay, the ability just resolves, and you get the copy. You'll still have priority, and you can just cast something for free.
Yeah, I think when you can reliably flip him, he will be strong, but I just don't think you'll be able to do it reliably enough. Art, totally fine. His magnifying glass is definitely magical, because that's not how you use a magnifying glass. He's standing incredibly far away from these things and going, yes, definitely. It's like,
indeed.
What? That's not how magnifying glasses work, Jacob. You're supposed to be an inspector. You stink at it.
I liked his story more than Cherry's also. He's like a dirty cop who partners with Eloise you're going to look so stupid because one of the Stitchers or someone like that sets off a literal like spirit bomb that like explodes a bunch of ghosts. And then there's like this whole crew. One of the guys who like accidentally killed himself in the explosion as a spirit goes to Eloise and Jacob and hires them to like protect him because he's trying to possess people. And then Jacob ends up being an accomplice with that guy and they find some murdered bodies. Jacob's not a good dude. You're going to look stupid because an explosion of ghosts puts you to sleep. I don't know why.
Okay. That's
it. That's all you're coming to the table with.
Well, the story.
Murder mystery ghost explosion.
That's not. Yeah. See, that's not what this story
You
is.
look so silly.
No, I don't.
That's how you describe the story in 4 words.
That's yeah. If those 4 words were written there, we would have been way more excited. But instead, they put this paragraph of garbage that I didn't.
Joe doesn't like reading.
It was.
Can't do it.
It was absolutely awful. Let's move on because I don't even care about this.
All right. It's Henry Kadomnathy. She's above Gargos, Vicious Watcher, and below Odrick, Master Tactician, the other one, at 455. 2 black for a 1/3 flyer. At the beginning of combat, on your turn, choose one that hasn't been chosen. Each player sacks a creature, you draw a card and lose a life, or you transform her into Henrika Infernal Seer. She's a 3/4 with flying, death touch, and lifelink, and you can pay 1 black to pump your flyers, death touchers, and lifelinkers for +1/+0. Decent little card. It's going to come down. You're probably always choosing draw a card first or everybody sacks just to get some immediate value because the backside isn't like overwhelming or unstoppable, and you'll get it next turn if you want to attack with her. Unlike in Limited, where you're probably doing the opposite, you're just going to try to flip this.
Yeah, exactly. This card is totally fine. I think it's going to be fun because it is the lifelink, flying, death touch, tribal. This is our legendary Vampire Night Dog.
Finally,
that's what I mean. To be fair, Vampire Night Dog is a beloved card. It's so beloved they put it in the stupid pre-con for vampires, even though that card is unplayable in Commander.
It's so bad.
Yeah, so this is our legendary one, and it is definitely pretty good. Art, Chef's Kiss. There's all 3. There's 6 arts basically because you got the fronts and the backs of all 3 versions. All great, all just amazing. 10 easy.
Yeah, Henrika's original front side and back side, and then the promo front side and back side. Those are like my 4 favorite arts in the set, like in order. They're all so good. Her lore. She's actually the one who bit Odrick and made him so underwhelming. But then when she bit him, like her lineage started exploding. I don't understand, but she's fine right now. And she at the wedding like killed somebody.
He's like that pure of blood. Like he's that pure of a human.
Yeah.
That his blood hurts vampires.
Yeah. When she tasted it, it was like holy water. I was like, geez, Odrick,
Yeah,
what is Odrick juicing with?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if it tasted like holy water, just how much is he praying and like nonstop?
My brain went somewhere else. I was like, why does he have holy water in his veins? What are you doing, Odrick?
He's praying. He's praying.
Probably that.
Or you think he's shooting up?
I didn't want to say shooting up.
Shooting up
on live television, but it's too late.
Shooting up holy water. Okay. Official lore: Odrick is addicted to holy water.
There's worse things.
All right, let's move on. It's Millicent, Restless Revenant, above Shalai, below Ludovic, Necro Genius, at 452. 5 white-blue for a 4/4 legendary creature spirit soldier with flying. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each spirit you control. Whenever she dies or another non-token spirit you control dies or deals combat damage to a player, create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. It's both when they die and when they deal combat damage. So you can just go super, super wide. And then even if you get board wipes, as long as you still have your commander on the battlefield, you're going to have spirits after this. This is going to be super fun. Spirit Tribal all the way.
Yeah, and then when you get board wiped and set back to the Stone Age and you only have 8 spirit tokens, you just slam Millicent next turn for like 3 mana and just feel like an absolute genius. I think this card's sweet. I love the build-around aspect. It's a lot of fun to play. It's not oppressive or anything. The art, kind of a little medium, but Millicent is dead spirit who was involved in that spirit, ghost bomb murder mystery. She was involved in that and is now like partnered with, I think, Eloise, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah, I like this story a lot more than boring old Jacob Boringstein.
Bomb, explosion,
boring
possession.
She's leading an army. Also, this raises the biggest questions. Biggest question. So she is wearing armor in this. Okay, that is clearly not armor. That is ghost. She's holding a sword that is ethereal.
Did the sword die? Because we know spirits can interact with the real world, but this is a ghost sword. What? This is the soul of a sword that died?
And now let's look at the crowd. We look into the crowd. We have Ghost Pitchfork.
Yeah.
Is the pitchfork dead? Did the person die with the pitchfork? Were they buried with the pitchfork? Also, ghost hat. The hat is a ghost.
That makes more sense.
Can the hat be removed from the ghost? There's a great question.
Ooh.
If I take the hat and put it on the ground, is it a separate ghost now?
Can I wear a...
I don't understand ghosts. We ranted about this already.
Yeah, I get that if they have stuff, they can... I'm not even saying spirits can't interact, but the sword shouldn't be a ghost. It's not a dead sword.
The hat gets me.
The ghost hat is really weird, but at least they could be buried with a hat. No one's buried with a pitchfork.
Well, yeah, a sword. Yeah, I could see someone being buried with a sword. You're a warrior. You know, you're buried with the great leader buried her with her sword, and she uses it in the afterlife. A pitchfork.
I can also.
This guy farmed so well. We have to bury him with his pitchfork.
Not to nitpick, but what does a spirit need with armor anyway?
Hold on, I'm looking even more. There's a spear. We got ghost spear, ghost.
No, it's a spirit spear.
There's so much ghost stuff in the crowd that is just not actual ghost, and it is great.
Well, I'm just saying, like, what is it? What are you protecting with ghost armor? Like, your armor is you're already dead. That armor already failed. You don't want it now.
Watch it. You already explained they have ghost bombs.
They have ghost bombs. Okay, all right, we gotta go down.
We gotta move on. We're
that
stuck.
was such a tangent.
Yeah.
Helena and Elena, partners. They're above Hamza and below Neheb, and they do not have partner. They're 430 overall. 2 red-green for a 2/3 with first strike and reach at the beginning of combat on your turn. Put X +1/+1 counters on another target creature you control, or X is their power. That creature gains haste until end of turn. Nice little bonus. They're always going to give you 2 counters right away. That's almost guaranteed. The deck probably wants to boost Helena and Elena's power, which will then boost something else's power, so they can get in. They got first strike. They can block pretty decently, which usually isn't that relevant. But I think there's a lot of ways to go. Counters, power matters, big, beefy stomping deck.
Yeah, great Rancor deck. Absolutely great Rancor deck. I think it's a super fun card that you can build in a lot of ways. It was kind of a meet in the middle thing for me because I could have given this one a 9 or a 10 for fun because I think that it really is an awesome commander. BZ was more around the 5, so we met in the middle. We got 7 for that fun there. Art, okay, the regular art is butt soup. It is absolutely terrible. Then there is the alternate art. Holy crap, it is so good. It both shows them as like warriors, and you can like tell that they're lovers.
Innocent side to it.
Just the way that they're looking, it's so good. Like they're fighting, like they're face to face. One's fighting. Oh my god, that is how you should have. Don't give them butt faces where you can't tell what they look like on the first one, and then give me that beautiful art in the second one.
My problem is I'm just a little disappointed by the regular art, just because this is like a good, like perfect chance to show like, hey, here's like a lesbian couple. We can put them on one card. Like it's going to be awesome representation. But then it's just like neither of them on the card look like the characters from Commander Legends. So I'm just like, who? Oh, that's them? Why does this look so bad? I don't know. Really weird. Yeah. But at least the other art is like fantastic.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like 10 out of 10. Literally 10 out of 10 is what we gave it. For uniqueness,
they don't do much.
Yeah, for uniqueness, it got a 5. They're just kind of like Xenaghosts. It's very similar to that. It's powers matter. We have that in red and green. And they don't do much, but they're a cute lesbian couple. And if you think I can give less than the 5 to this cute lesbian couple, you're so wrong.
They fought Eldrazi, but I don't think they did anything in Crimson Vow.
Up next is Garof, Visionary Stitcher at 413, above Minsk, and below, spoiler alert, 2 and a blue for a 1/4 legendary creature, human wizard. Zombies you control have flying. Pay a blue, tap, sacrifice another non-token creature. Create an XX blue zombie creature token where X is the sacrificed creature's toughness. This isn't super strong. One, there's not enough really blue zombies to go that route, so you have to kind of go maybe a toughness route. Yeah, sure, they're all going to have flying, but you have to untap with this. You have to sacrifice stuff. There is ways to go. I'm just not super interested in this card.
I like this card. It's just a nice little design. It doesn't have to be the strongest thing in the world, but I think it's interesting that you don't have to play zombies at all. You could just sack your creatures, turn them into flyers, and get more power than it's worth because their toughness was higher. Pretty cool. The fun's just in the middle, though. I mean, I really like the art, though. The maniac laboratory guy on the black and white version is sick.
Oh, I absolutely love the art. You were like on 8. I'm like 10. You're like, yeah, you know what? 10.
What am I saying?
10 is totally fair.
A lot of 10s coming up.
Yeah, Garof is very cool. I mean, he's a Stitcher. He's brothers, and his sister is Gisa, who was in the last set. I was trying to think. I'm like, we didn't grade her. Oh wait, because she wasn't in the set. We already graded her last one, but that's about it for Garof. Anything else for Nate?
Best sibling rivalry in all of Magic.
They are a cute brother-sister combo.
Because they obviously care about each other to some extent, but they're always bickering.
Yeah, they hate each other. But
they
also
can never get along.
I hate Garof, but also I'd do anything for him.
All right, that brings us up. We are rising the ranks here. This is number 412 of all commanders ever. It's Umbras, Fear Manifest, above Garof, and below Stitcher Garof. It's a Garof sandwich. 3 blue-black for a 1/1 Nightmare Horror. It gets +1/+1 for each card your opponents own in exile. Whenever it or another Nightmare or Horror enters the battlefield under your control, target opponent exiles cards from the top of their deck until they hit a land. The first thing you got to know about this card is it is a beefy boy. This is going to be in the decks that it commands, obviously, is what we're talking about, like a 20/20 easily. This is very close to Consuming Aberration in the command zone. It's going to be lethal almost all the time.
It is a Whisper Silk Cloak deck.
Finally.
There's not that many decks that want that card. This guy, he's going to be a one-shot almost all the time. You'll play him with Changelings. You'll play him with a few playable, Nightmare Horrors.
There's a couple.
There are some playable ones, so you definitely play him with those. And he just gets so big so fast. I think it's a solid 9 for fun. Just absolutely, you're going to build it and have fun. You get to play Oblivion Sower.
I love that card.
It's
so good.
BZ loves that card. It's so easy to get this guy. If you can't get this guy to 21 power, you're doing something wrong because it's very easy.
And I'm playing Ulamog. I don't care. I'm playing Ulamog at the top end so I can exile 20 cards. And then by itself, there's your 20 +1/+1.
That's kind of funny.
For Umbras. Just hilarious.
Well, also, too, when you casted him. You cast him, you get the exile too, and then you get 20
that's
more.
True. It counts itself. I don't even think the Nightmare thing is worth building around that much. It's like they exile until they hit 1 land. Like Umbras is going to get +1, +2 maybe. This is nothing when I can just play Relic of Progenitus. Oh, we got there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right about that. Umbras is the coolness all comes from being it's a manifestation of fear.
Yeah, that's what it is.
It's okay. That is in itself just that's scary. It's like fear manifested in some living form. Oh, that's really scary to think about.
And so that would mean that JFK is justified being scared of Umbras.
Yeah. Yeah, the only thing to fear is Umbras himself. He said that.
He said it's okay to fear Umbras.
Yes, that is exactly. So when you think JFK, think Umbras. Next is Stefanmorrow Progenitor. Above Viral of the Whole Clade. Below Chatterfang Squirrel General at 365. 2 black-red for a legendary creature Vampire Noble 3/2 with flying. At the beginning of your end step, create a blood token for each player who lost life this turn. Whenever Stefan attacks, you may sacrifice 2 blood tokens. If you do, you may put a vampire card from your hand onto the battlefield, tapped and attacking. It gains indestructible until end of turn. This is a decently powerful guy. He makes the blood tokens and he pays them off by dropping in huge vampires. And once you start cheating 6 and 7 drops in play, you're going to start getting way ahead in that game. Super fun. This is actually a cool way to go with vampires that isn't Edgar Markov. Thanks you. I like that.
Yes, it's a high enough payoff that maybe you go, hey, I want to cheat big vampires into play. I don't need Edgar Markov. And it is the ultimate blood commander. You can just forget that second line and just go, hey, I'm going to make everybody lose a life every turn with my Cryptolith fragments, make 1,000 blood tokens, and then just pay them off with some artifact stuff like Marionette Master.
This only has one art. It's just one of those arts where I look at it and I'm like, it's nothing special. Oh, wait. Nah, it just looks good.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's tough. It's tough. It's like this weird angle. It feels like you're on the ground.
It's imposing.
Looking up at him. Yeah, imposing is a great word. Very, very imposing feeling. Like he could just kill you.
Yeah, and he's one of the progenitors of a minor bloodline, and apparently he killed
another bloodline.
Somebody else that was a progenitor of another bloodline. I don't know if when you kill the main one, the rest of them die. They'll never tell me.
So what if Edgar dies? Then the Soren die?
Ooh, new mission.
I don't know.
Kill Soren before he gets any hotter.
I mean, if he gets even one more printing, everybody will
be at critical mass.
Critical. He's already 9.9. If he can't, it's getting close. So you can't get much hotter than that. What's next, BZ?
All right. Next is Grapple Knock the Omnivore. Above Mathis, Friendseeker, and below Saphara, Sky's Blade. 2 green-blue for a 3/3 frog. Whenever a frog you control attacks, you mill 3. Whenever a permanent card's put into your graveyard from your deck, you exile it with a Croak counter on it, obviously. And you can play lands and cast spells from among cards exiled with Croak counters on them. So it's a frog tribal commander on the surface, but really it's a mill tribal commander, which is what makes this thing actually so strong. Infinite ways to mill yourself. It is so easy, which basically just says milling gives you an extra hand that whenever Grell knocks out, you can play from. It's really sweet.
Yeah, exactly. You can just keep continually playing from that. This means that you can't really go high on the graveyard synergies because Grell Knock is saying, hey, if you mill over permanents, I'm putting them into exile. So make sure that you don't want this stuff in your graveyard. That being said, cards like, what's the Drown card? Drowning Dreams. It's just draw double X, basically. That's really cool.
And X.
And any changeling you have will also trigger Ground Knock, so that's just going to be extra upside and bonus. This card stinks in the 99 because you can't really build around it. But as a commander, which is where we're talking about it, the most powerful one we've seen so far on this list.
Oh, yeah. He doesn't really have much lore. He's a frog with a little arm hanging out like every frog apparently has to have. And I like the uniqueness of it. Croak counters, come on, that's ridiculous.
It's a callback to the Gitrog monster, and which was a callback to Chubtoad, which was a callback to frogs eating humans.
Yes.
Very well known myth.
Trope. It's just a trope at this point.
Yeah,
it's so cliche.
It's so cliche.
Right.
Though this one, in the art, being able to see through them and see the human is
that poor person.
Pretty gross. Why also slurp that? I imagine like spaghetti slurping those.
I would
arms.
Never let spaghetti hang out of my mouth.
Yeah, exactly. I would slurp it up. Up next is Ruth, Tormented Prophet. Right above Toshira Umezawa and below Kosama. 1 blue-red for a 2/4 legendary creature, human wizard. If you would draw a card, exile the top 2 cards of your library instead. You may play those cards this turn. This has some potential. The problem is it all says this turn, meaning that you really can only draw at sorcery speed, and if you draw at instants, you can only play instants. This card not being a May effect really is what's keeping it down on power, because if this was a May, you're just in. You're in for power. This is doubling your draws when you want us to double your draws. Fortunately, it's not that, so it's stuck at 4 here.
I want to try to find some weird way to use this, because it's just going to rip through your library. If you just play cantrips and you don't even really care what happens, you just tearing through your deck, almost like a leveler in the command zone eventually. It's just really cool. I just don't know how to take advantage of it, because it exiles the cards, and you're not always going to get to play them, even if one of them's like an Thoracle or something.
I was just going to say, what? Wait a minute. Why haven't people thought of this? Get rid of your library with it.
Wow.
Play Thoracle. It wins the game.
Dude.
We just broke Commander.
Actually, you know what? I think there's a card for 1 black that just does this.
Oh.
So you can just play that in Thoracle.
Well, yeah, but we're in blue-red here.
Yeah, so let's forget that. Let's play the really original, super creative way to win.
Yeah, Thoracle. Very original for Commander.
10 out of 10. Okay, Thoracle's not the one we're talking about, though. So Eruth's wispy eye, ropey devil art is like one of the best things I've ever seen. Her lore actually really cool. She foresees deaths of people almost either before, after, or during the death of that person, and she can see things. But with Emrakul coming and everything, she went literally cuckoo. She is crazy and babbles nonsense.
Yeah, no, I love the nightmare part. It's like it wasn't from this because she's like cuckoo crazy now since Emrakul came.
Literally insane.
But before she was her dreams / nightmares would be her basically. She'd be living the life of somebody else, and they end in the grisly murder, and that's when she wakes up. Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, really, really cool stuff. I'm going to go to the next one, which is Runo Stromkirk. 1 blue-black for a 1/4 flying vampire. When he enters the battlefield, put up to 1 target creature card in your graveyard on the top of your library. At the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. You may reveal it. If a creature card with mana value 6 or greater is revealed this way, you transform him, and he summons Krothis, Lord of the Deep. 3/5 Flying Kraken Horror. When it attacks, create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of another target attacking creature. If it was a Kraken, Leviathan, Octopus, or Serpent, you get 2 of those tokens instead.
Or as Adele would say it, Krothis, Lord of the Deep.
If he ever switches sides or tries to get comfortable while sleeping, he was rolling in the deep. He was, because he was just there before he rose up. He's a 3 for power. This card is not that good. You have to set it up, boop, put a card on top, which actually isn't that hard, and he will flip, and you're going to get to attack. You're not going to get to live the Kraken Dream, I don't think. That's a little bit tougher, but he just works by himself. He can make a token that's a copy of the thing, and it's pretty sweet, and there's a lot to consider and tinker with when you're building this deck.
Yeah, interesting blue-black commander, honestly. It's like blue-black ETBs. That's kind of something we don't have. It's extremely interesting. You also obviously need the big creatures in your deck because you want to be able to flip him, but you can do that. I mean, and
you just have to mill him.
And I think that the most fun way to build this is going to be this is the Kraken, Leviathan, Octopus,
Serpent
commander, and it's actually pretty cool. I do like that we actually got something for that, and it's a vampire in the front, oddly enough. So if you like vampires, serpents, octopuses, Krakens, and Leviathans, guess what? I have got a commander for you.
Boy, have you been catered to this time around. Runo doesn't do much. He is like the cult leader. He kind of hangs around with like the creepy cult people and tries to summon demons like this Kraken god thing.
Yeah, this guy is whatever, but his art. Oh, look at it's weird. This one I got my favorite front art is like the vampire with like You know,
swirly border.
The swirly border, and he's like got, you know, the vampires. I don't know if you have to work out when you're a vampire. I don't know how that works, but they are in amazing shape. Like
all of them.
Every vampire.
Find me one fat vampire on Innistrad. You can't do it.
They're jacked. They're in like ridiculously good shape. and then the other side, I like the black and white art where it's like, I don't know, the Kraken just looks so cool. Like he's like blacked out. It looks sweet.
I just want like an out of shape vampire now.
You catch
like, oh, that's Rick over there, Rick Valderin. He just doesn't really get out of bed.
That's Rick Valderin. He is so lazy.
He just does not want to go to this wedding. Okay, that's it for Runo, I think. Very unique card.
Yes. Next is Torrance, Fist of Angels. Right above Paco, below Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, a card that's actually in this set. 324.
Well, that's weird.
This is my favorite legend from this set. 1 green, white, 2/2 legendary creature, human cleric, training. Whenever you cast a creature spell, create a 1/1 green and white human soldier creature token with training. This is the strongest commander in the set. This card is so good. When you throw him in the command zone, you build around him, you have 30, 40 creatures in your deck. This card is absolutely bonkers. He's not making 1/1s. Don't think he is, because he's always making 2/2s that can just get bigger if they ever get to attack a second time. Love this card so much. I think it's a 10 for fun. You build creatures and then you just overrun them with an army of tokens. I think this is my favorite token commander ever printed.
Yeah, it's really sweet. You're probably going to see it on gameplay. Joe's in love with this card. I like him a lot too. His artwork, I don't know about that Doctor one, but the black and white version of him, pretty sweet from the double feature. Torrance has no lore, but we know he's at least a badass who has some relation to angels and can train to get better and can make other people who train, kind of like rousing the townspeople, I think of.
Yeah, he's getting everyone together to like fight. He's the Fist of the Angels. That's a cool name, but that gets you a 2.
Yeah.
Being the Fist of the Angels.
That's like the worst Voltron piece.
Yeah, and this is very similar to Oketra. 7 for uniqueness. It's this and Oketra are the only things that do anything even remotely similar to this.
You can't get this.
Yeah, you just can't get this anywhere else. And having it for 3 mana in your command zone, chef's kiss. I love this card.
All right, let's get on over to some of the bigwigs here. We're in the top 5. This is Edgar, Charmed Groom, above Nylea, below Greven. He's sitting at 246 out of all commanders ever.
Yeah, Edgar is known for his huge wig.
2 white black for a 4/4. Other vampires you control get +1/+1. When he dies, you flip him into his coffin. At the beginning of your upkeep, you get a 1/1 white and black vampire creature token with lifelink, and you throw a counter on this. Then if there's 3 counters on this thing, you transform him back to Edgar. All those tokens you made, they're now buffed up.
Yeah, so one thing about this is it really never dies. It's going to be rare because they have to kill this and then kill the coffin afterward. It'll happen sometimes, but it's rare. So he basically is never going to have commander attacks. I think the key to building this card, it's obviously Vampire Tribal. That's
You have to.
I mean, there's nowhere else to really go with this card. But I think the fun is proliferating the counters, getting him to flip back as soon as possible,
it's like right away.
You get the 1/1s. He's just not powerful. Though I think you can have a lot of fun with this card, I think it is not a powerful one.
What's really carrying him here is his ridiculously fantastic artwork and his ridiculously fantastic lore. He's Dracula. He is the first vampire on Innistrad. He's the reason everyone else is a vampire. He struck a deal with some demon and ended up with like some kind of concoction that's like some really unique set of circumstances that turn him into like literally a different thing. And then he starts turning other people.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how cool Edgar is. He is Dracula. He's the Dracula of the set. He's the progenitor of all vampires. He's the original. He has created them all. Edgar, absolutely awesome theme. I want to say all the swirly arts, like I think those are vampire exclusive.
Something like that.
They're all amazing. I think that's those are my favorite arts from the set. They're so cool.
Do you think when Odrick became a vampire, he had like a little bit of a gut and it just like got sucked into, just became a 6-pack?
No, Odrick has been George Clooney forever. When he's been in shape the whole time.
Edgar was asleep for like 300 million decades, and he still looks great.
He has a hunchback in the one.
He looks a little crotchety. I kind of like it.
In that one. But in the other one, he looks fine. He's like standing up straight. He's like, I am a confident old vampire with a great big wig.
If you shot my chest with a gun, the bullet would bounce off.
Yeah. If you shot his eye, it would
crumple.
Do the Superman thing. Yeah. Remember that really good Superman movie with Brandon Roth?
It was Brandon Roth?
Yep, that was Brandon Roth.
Lovely. So Edgar's got a lot going on, and he's a lot of fun. It's just not super strong, so don't expect a powerhouse.
Well, this next one is pretty strong. It's actually Toxo the Corrosive, above Kogla and below Skullbriar at 154. 5 black for a 7/7 legendary creature slug horror. At the beginning of each end step, put a slime counter on each creature you don't control. Creatures you don't control get -1/-1 for each slime counter on them. Whenever a creature you don't control with a slime counter on it dies, create a 1/1 black slug creature token. Blue, black, sacrifice a slug, draw a card. This card actually takes next to 0 building around because he's the enabler payoff. He just does all the stuff you want him to do. That being said, he has this random synergy. With
Sludge Monster.
With Sludge Monster. Because Sludge Monster turns them all into these 2/2s.
We put slime counters on.
And he puts slime counters. And he cares about slime counters. Oh my god. Such a random fun synergy. This is a fun.
Bad.
It is. Shut up. There's no world. If you build this deck, that's the first card you put in.
That is not a card I'm going to put in.
Are you serious?
Yeah, you don't have to do anything. It does. It's like he can make a big thing into a 2/2 and it'll die right away because it already has 1 or 2 slime counters on it.
Exactly.
It's neat.
That's so good.
It's neat.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I don't even.
And this card just does it all. You don't have to do anything else. Just put a bunch of ramp in your deck, and this thing will just win the game by itself over time. Have it sit and play, protect it with counterspells because you're in blue, and with this as your commander. I don't care about slugs. I don't care about this. I don't care about proliferating. It's just going to wipe everything out eventually and make a bunch of tokens, and you can win with those. This card is Army in a Can, sweetness. It's not the strongest card in the world. It's obviously not better than Elish Nord. It's not the best finisher in commander. It's just a really good commander.
Also, why would never try to proliferate this? You can't proliferate faster than he does it himself. He's so fast. You
can double it up, right?
It's every end step. He's just doing it. This guy's crazy.
You got the contagion engine, so now you're getting 6 per go around.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to beat this card if it stays in the battlefield for 1 go around the table. That's -4/-4 to all creatures.
So just keep it in play, and you can't lose.
Exactly. You literally can't unless they're going to combo off with a non-combat win. Which
there's a lot of that.
There is a lot of that. But if you're at a combat table, good luck losing with this card.
Right, exactly. And the 6 comes from. It's a slug monster. It's legendary. I don't care that there's 0 sentences written about it. I can see everything I need to know right here.
He's also the corrosive. I love that name.
You can picture him gliding along and leaving acid.
So he's gliding along, leaving acid, but also when something dies from his acid, it turns to a slug,
which is great. It just gets morphed into a slug.
Ugh, it's so gross. This thing is really gross. I don't want to die. And imagine that it doesn't kill many things, but something accidentally goes under it, it runs it over.
Oh. Then there's more little baby Toxels running around.
Yeah, all right, what's next?
There's only 2 commanders left to talk about, and number 2 out of the whole set at number 116 is Katilda, Dawnheart Martyr. She's above Joda and below the first sliver. 1 white for a star spirit warlock. Flying, lifelink, protection from vampires. Power and toughness are each equal to the number of spirits and enchantments you control. Disturb 3 white into Katilda's Rising Dawn, which enchants a creature and gives it all the same abilities, except it also gets +X for excess number of spirits and enchantments you control. So it makes it a nice little beefy lifelink flyer. I think this card has got some stuff going on. Well, the main thing I want to say with just the power, it's middle of the road, a little bit below, not below average, but just below a 5. It's at a 4. It's not quite going to dominate or provide 1,000,000 percentage points worth of immediate advantage, but it costs 3. It's going to be bigger than the mana you spent to cast it, and then it goes to the graveyard and you disturb it, and it costs 5. Then it costs 5, and it's going to be worth the mana because you underpaid last time. Then you disturb it for 5 still, then it dies. Then you can go get 7, and you're like, okay, I paid the right mana for this 10/10 creature. And then it still disturbs for 5.
I think the thing that really keeps us from being a 1 for power is the lifelink flying.
Oh, yeah.
That combination is so strong. Not only are you going to sneak through a lot of hits with this, you're also going to be gaining the life back, allowing you to just kind of attack freely. This card, it's one of the best French vanilla type things we've ever had.
For sure.
It's only power toughness for the most part, but the lifelink flying combination makes that power toughness worth getting. I think this card's gonna be incredibly fun to build. You can build spirits, you can build enchantments, you can build spirits and enchantments. You can do either of them. Art, stellar. That black and white art.
Yeah.
Especially the front. It might be my favorite art in the whole set.
It's really
so good. And
Fantastic.
The back is interesting and it's very good. No doubt it's very good, but it's kind of weird. I don't know what's going on. It's kind of spooky.
Yeah, her face is coming off or a mask coming off. I don't know what's the deal is. But Katilda, one of the main characters of this entire story from out of nowhere. She's the leader of the Dawnheart Coven. She ends up dying. Olivia yeets her into the ground, and then her spirit goes into the Moonsilver Key, and then she comes out during the wedding and basically ruins the whole thing, frees Sigarda, and then Sigarda just does some weird explosion and shatters all the glass in the castle, and then the glass like rips into the vampires and like kills a bunch of them.
I don't know. I don't know exactly what happened. Well, it's almost. It seems like the story's almost over, but we haven't quite gotten to the end of it where they bring the sun back up.
Right. The sun is still MIA.
Yeah, I mean, Katilda, what is it called?
Rising Dawn.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that.
We haven't seen that yet, but it is going to happen eventually. This is also very unique. Like you said, Spirit Tribal, Enchantment Tribal, or both. You can do any of those, and you get this huge giant beater.
How about very fittingly the best commander in the set?
Well, it is extremely fitting. It's the bride, the Crimson Bride to be specific, Olivia, and she comes in at number 49 overall, above Shadrix Silverquill and below Nicol Bolas the Ravager. 4 red-black for a 3/4 legendary creature, vampire noble, flying haste. Whenever Olivia Crimson Bride attacks, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped and attacking. It gains when you don't control a legendary vampire, exile this creature. I really think the key to this card not being poop soup is the fact that it's got haste. You get this effect right away. You slam it, you get back your biggest thing. It comes back tapped and attacking. And you want to try and control Olivia the whole time so that you don't lose these things and they don't go into exile. But if you have sack outlets for starters, then you can just, if they're going to remove your Olivia, you can sack them, put them back in your graveyard. Or if you get back anything and it's a vampire and it's a legend, then it's fine. So like for random, just get back like Streffen. Yeah, you get him back to the battlefield, tapped and attacking. Well, he's a legend, so he's never going to leave the battlefield under his restriction because he is a legend. Another thing you can do, I like with this, Nexus of Fate. Or not Nexus of Fate. It's Maskwood Nexus. Make all your creatures vampires. Now you can just make a Legends Matter deck.
Oh.
All your legends come back, and they're going to be vampires in addition to their other types.
Get back a demon or something.
Yeah, or they're going to be changelings, so they'll always be vampires. So you can get back whatever you want as long as it's legendary. Olivia, a lot of ways to go. A lot of fun to be had with this card.
Yeah, I mean, her grade's through the roof. 5 for power, which is pretty good. Not a lot of things are 10, 9, and 8s because they don't make a lot of 10, 9, and 8s. And the uniqueness, there's not a ton of text on the card, but it still gets up there all the way to 5. And then everything else, 10 for fun, 10 for artwork. It's some of the best artwork in the set. And 10 for uniqueness because Olivia's the whole puppet master here. She charmed Edgar, which is questionable, a little silly sound, a little sounding, but she charmed him, forced him to marry her. Then she's trying to gain control of all the vampire families, gain control of the angels on Innistrad, which I didn't even know until researching for this. And she's just going crazy with power, and she doesn't succeed.
Yeah, this wedding is her whole big plan. She's obviously going to fail because we know
she's the bad guy.
We know the sun comes back up, and her whole plan is to rule during an eternal night. So obviously,
and Sigarda killed like half the guests, and everything went to heck.
Yeah, but I think that's all we have to say about Olivia.
It really is. She's a great card, and she's a lot you can do with it. Vampire Tribal, Legendary Tribal, or Vampire Legendary Tribal.
Yep. So that is our video. Special shout outs to, I mentioned my armpit over here, making the video real good. All of our patrons.
Quality content.
Love y'all as much as we can without making you uncomfortable. You guys are awesome. Your support is needed to keep this channel going and extremely appreciated. Thank you.
If you would like to reward Joe for scratching his armpit, you can also go to the TCG player link in the description. Buy the cards you were going to buy anyway. Let's not kid ourselves. We all like Magic cards, and we can't stop buying them because it's an addiction. So once you do that, we get a kickback on the order because you started with our link. It's also a Dragon Shield US and a Dragon Shield EU link where you can do the same exact thing, but with the best sleeves in the world. Now, sleeve the deck you just bought, and all of that goes to helping us.
Yes, and we also have a Discord where you can come in and hang out. Just avoid the bots because they're being...
Little bots popping up.
Bot spam. Discord's got to do something about that because there's nothing I can really do about it. I can't prevent their bots from getting in.
Get spammed by our bots.
They're
not our bots. Get spammed by bots in our Discord.
We don't have bots. The only bot we have is Disclaimer Bot, and he just tells you when a video goes live.
That's true. Disclaimer Bot is one of the best bots. Do we have a tidbit?
No.
Well, okay. So we recently started watching. We have not done this yet. We recently started watching Dexter, and we were only like 10 years too late. I think there's like 9 seasons of that show. We just finished season 2. It's actually pretty good. I heard it gets bad, but not before like season 4.
I heard it gets worse, but it's not that bad. And then the ending is awful.
Well, we have not seen that, and I have been seeing commercials for freaking Dexter New Blood is like coming out, and I don't know why it's on the Game Show Network. I don't know why they're plugging Dexter on that show, but they keep spoiling stuff, and I'm trying not to watch those commercials.
I will say this right now. If I read a single spoiler in the comments below, I will ban you from ever commenting on this channel.
I will
again.
hide you from the channel.
I will
Do not spoil Dexter for us, even though it's been over for a year.
Yeah,
for years.
It's been over for years. Yeah,
Right.
but the new one's coming out, and I'm excited. I've heard a new thing,
Okay.
and I'm not gonna actually say it. It's
okay.
Because it has like a big swear word.
A swear word.
Well, yeah, it's just weird.
Where are you getting at?
Well, I'm getting at because somebody said Dexter blanks, and apparently it's to say it's good. It's you say the F word afterward, like F's.
Oh, is it like slaps? Like
slaps
are bad.
Exactly. It's like Dexter blanks. Now I didn't know if it was good or bad. I had to read the other comments to see if that meant good or bad.
Dexter blanks. Good.
It was Dexter New Blood. Yeah.
Like on the garbage can.
Yeah. They watched one episode and they said it F's. Okay.
Wow. All right.
Good. Yeah. I don't know. I've never heard that before until like 3 days ago.
So I want all the Nitpicking Nerds slaps comments.
Nitpicking Nerds F.
We're done.
Peace out, Trap Scout.